Hello everyone, I am here again in front of you with a new topic, and our topic for today is the anatomy of the small intestine. So, without wasting any time, let us start. So, this is the most important part of the GI tract because it has some specific functions. And what are these functions? Number one, the most important function is the digestion. Digestion. This is the main portion where the digestion occurs. Although the digestion of starts in the buccal cavity, but it ends in the small intestine. And like this, the digestion of the protein start in the stomach, but it ends in the small intestine. That's why this is the main part of the digestion. This is the main site of the digestion, in fact, and almost 90% of the digestive activities ends up here, right in this portion. Second most important part of this small intestine is the absorption. Second one is absorption. So most of the absorption of the nutrients occurs in this region. And the third main part is related to the immune. So immune related activities, there are a lot of structures related to the immune. As you can see, the Peyer's patches, the gut flora, and the lymphoids related to the small intestine. These all play a vital role in the immune system of the body. Right. So these are the basic functions related to the small intestine. Let's start with the extension of this tube. It starts from the pyloric sphincter or from the pyloric orifice, and it extends pyloric sphincter. So it extends from the pyloric sphincter to the ileocecal junction. Ileocecal junction. Ileocecal junction is named because ileo means ileum. Ileum is the last part of the small intestine, and cecum means the first part of the large intestine. And cecum is a blinded pouch-like structure that is the first portion of the large intestine. So the junction between the ileum and the cecum, this junction is the last portion of this extension. So this extends from the pyloric sphincter to the ileocecal junction, and the length is would be around 3 meters. Sorry, length would be around 5.5 meters. Right. Length varies according to the height of the person. It may be 5 meter or it may be 6 meter according to the height of the person. So this is variable. But the diameter is important. Diameter of the small intestine is 2.5 meter. 2.5 centimeters. Right. Diameter is around 2.5 centimeter. In a newborn baby, it may be around 1.5 centimeter, but in an adult, it may be 2.5 centimeter. So above from 2.5 centimeter, this is a clinical case, and we can know the diameter. We can know about the diameter in the CT scan also. So average diameter is 2.5 centimeter. This is the diameter. Because of this portion of the intestine is named as the small intestine, because the diameter of large intestine is much more larger than the small, but the length of small intestine is larger than the length of the large intestine, right? So it has a greater length than the large intestine, but because it has a smaller diameter, that's why it is called as the small intestine, right? So basic part of the small intestine, there are three basic parts, three basic regions. One is the duodenum, one is the duodenum, second one is the jejunum, and third one is the ileum, right? So duodenum starts from pyloric sphincter, as this one is the first part. So it will start from the pyloric sphincter, and from the pyloric sphincter it will extend to the dudojejunal flexor, dudojejunal flexor, right? And from the dudojejunal flexor, the jejunum will start, and as there is not so much of differentiation, there is not any kind of demarcation between the jejunum and the ileum, but some basic structure, or some basic structure in the wall which differentiate the ileum from the jejunum, right? So this portion ends at the ileocecal junction, ileocecal junction. You can see much larger mucosal folds or muscle folds in the jejunum, but shorter folds in the ileum. And jejunum itself means empty, because most of the time this portion will be empty, and this would be the loaded from the contents of the GIT. And in cadaver, you can see this portion will be totally empty, right? So empty means jejunum. That's why it is termed as jejunum. So the small intestine can be divided into three main portions. One is the duodenum, second one is the jejunum, and third one is the ileum. Right. We have earlier discussed about the anatomy of the duodenum. You can see the previous video, and there you can understand the basic anatomical features of the duodenum. Here in this section, we will talk about the most important part of the small intestine, and the most important part is the wall of the GIT, the wall of the small intestine, because all the functions related to the digestion, all the functions related to the absorption, these all are the structure of the GIT, or the structure of the small intestine is adapted to these functions, right? So we will start with the structure. As you can see, all the GIT is composed of the four basic layers. So in the wall of the small intestine, we will also discuss about these four layers. And these four layers are the first one is the mucosa, right? First one is the mucosa. The second layer, submucosa, submucosa. These are from inner to outer. One is the mucosa, second one is the submucosa, third one is the muscularis, and the final one is serosa. So these are four basic layers in the wall of the small intestine, or you can say these four layers, the wall of the small intestine is composed of these four basic layers. This one is the outermost layer, and this one is the innermost layer. If you can see the diagram or the cut section of the GIT, means the wall of the GIT would be like this, and the outer portion will be serosa, and the inner portion will be mucosa. Okay, let's talk about these layers separately. The outermost layer is serosa. Serosa, what is serosa? Serosa is nothing but a layer of, or a covering of, visceral peritoneum. It's just a covering of visceral peritoneum. As you all know, peritoneum covers almost all the portions, all the organs, or the structures of the abdominal cavity. And serosa covering, you can see the covering of the visceral peritoneum in almost all the section of the small intestine, except some part of the duodenum, right? So there is a outer covering of visceral peritoneum, and this outer covering is known as the serosa. Second, inner layer, inner to this serosa, there is a muscularis, and this muscularis contains of two layers. Muscularis means the layer of muscles. So this contains two basic layers. One is the longitudinal layer, and second one is the circular layer. So two basic layers are there. One is the longitudinal layer, and second one is the circular layer. Longitudinal layer is the thin layer and outer layer. It's a thin and outer layer. while the circular layer is thick and the inner layer thick and inner layer. So there are two basic uh, layer of the muscles, or you can see the fibers of the muscles. The outer fibers you can see running longitudinally, and the inner fibers running circular, right? So there are two basic layers, but when we see the stomach, the wall of the stomach contains three layer of these fibers. One is the longitudinal, second one is the circular, and the third one is the oblique layer, right? We will not discuss the oblique layer here because we are concentrated on the wall of the small intestine. So there are two basic layers of the wall of the GIT. Let's draw a diagram here. Through this you can understand the basic concept. This one is the outermost layer. This one is the outermost layer, and this layer is composed of visceral peritoneum, as we have named it as a serosa, right? And inner to this serosa, I have told you that there are two basic layers of the muscle fibers. One is the longitudinal and second one is the circular. So we can understand these layers by this. These are longitudinal fibers. These are longitudinal fibers. So we will write it here, longitudinal, and some part are inner layer are is circular. So should write like this. This one is circular layer. So there are two basic layers, and this portion is the muscularis. This portion is the serosa. Inner to this muscularis layer, there is submucosa, and we should draw it like this. Submucosa just connect the mucosa to the muscularis. Okay, so it's also a very thin layer. Submucosa. Although some structure of the mucosa or some structure related to the mucosa can penetrate into the submucosa or can extend into the submucosa, right? But the submucosa of the duodenum have some specific features, and we have earlier in our last section about the duodenum, we have discussed this factor, and this submucosa of the duodenum have some specific type of glands, and these glands are known as the submucosa. These glands are known as the Brunner's gland. Brunner's glands. And where these Brunner's glands found? These are in the wall of the duodenum. Duodenum. And in which layer? The submucosa of the duodenum. More specifically, in the submucosa of the duodenum. If you see a diagram, you can understand the importance of this Brunner's gland. This is the stomach, and this one is the duodenum, right? So here one important structure comes in contact with the second part of the duodenum, and that is the pancreatic duct and the bile duct. So pancreatic duct mainly contains bicarbs and enzymes, and this bicarb help this environment, acidic environment, to neutralize, right? But about this level, about this pancreatic uh, duct opens in the small intestine or in the part of the duodenum, and this opening is known as the major duodenal papilla. So above this major duodenal papilla and between the pyloric sphincter and the major duodenal papilla, in the wall of the duodenum there are specific glands, and these glands are the Brunner's gland, and these glands secrete bicarbs. So this will help this section, this particular section, to neutralize the acidic environment, right? So this layer is known as the submucosa. Okay, the most important part and the most important layer is the innermost layer, and that is named as the mucosa. So mucosa will be in the direct contact with the content of the GIT or content of the lumen. So we can study the mucosa into three basic parts or three basic layers. Number one will be the epithelium. One is epithelium. Second one is lamina propria. Lamina propria, and the outer one is muscularis. So there are three layers of the mucosa. One is epithelium. Second one means this one is the innermost. Second one is the lamina propria, and third one is the muscularis. So don't confuse with this muscularis. This muscularis is termed as the muscularis mucosa, right? So this layer of muscularis contain associated with the mucosa or connected with the mucosa. Let us talk first about the epithelium, right? So epithelium is very important part. This one is very important part, and let us draw the diagram first. I will tell you the importance. Here, the mucosal layer will look like this. Okay, means we can see some folds, some circular folds between the mucosa, and these circular folds, what they do, these circular folds increase the surface area of the lumen, right? So these folds, these circular folds are known as the plicae circularis. These folds are known as the plicae circularis. So what are the plicae circularis? Means the circular folds of the mucosa or the circular folds of the mucosal layer of small intestine. So these are the plicae circularis, and what they do, they increase the surface area of the lumen, right? Let us draw a bigger diagram of this one fold, right? Okay, we will draw one more diagram. And you can see the structure in a bigger perspective. Like this. So if you see, this one is a single circular fold, and in this fold there are also some subfolds. These are subfolds of this Plica circularis, and these subfolds or the finger-like projection, these projections are termed as the villi, as the villus. So these are the villi, these finger-like projection on the plica circularis or the circular fold of the epithelium, right? So these are known as the villi, and along with these folds, these villi also increase the surface area, and this will help in the digestion as well as in the absorption, right? Not only this, but you can see, if you see some microscopic structure, you will see some more folds on these subfolds, and these will look like this. So these are very teeny, very micro structures, and if you see through the microscope, you can't see an individual structure. So these will look like the structure you can see on the brush, right? So these structure throughout the wall, throughout the surface, you can see these microstructures. These microstructures. And what are these microstructures? These are known as the microvilli. These are known as the microvilli. Villus is a singular and villi is plural. So there are we are talking about the mucosal layer. There are some circular folds in the mucosa, and these circular folds are known as the Palliae circularis. On these folds, there are also some subfolds, and these subfolds are known as the villi. On the villi, we can see some more teeny folds, more teeny projections, which look like a brush border, and that's why the surface, if we see the surface of the lumen of small intestine through the microscope, we will see like this is a brush border, and that's why the surface of the small intestine is known as the brush border surface. This surface is called as the brush border surface. Brush border surface. Brush border surface. So now see that there is a single epithelial layer. Here the epithelial layer making the folds, circular folds, and these folds also making the subfolds, and here on the subfold also there are some projections, mini projections, and these projections are microvilli. So the surface area, we are talking about the surface area. So the surface area of the small intestine is increased by these folds, and imagine how much can they increase. They will increase it by the 600 times, right? So this will give a vast surface area to the activities like digestion and the absorption, right? One more thing, that this also help in, as you can see all the structure or all the content which comes in the GIT. There would be some secretion from the buccal cavity, there would be some secretion from the gastric wall, there would be some secretion added in the duodenum also, the pancreatic or the bile secretion, and the wall itself secretes some juices. So the content will be almost liquefied, and this structure stops the contents to go straightly. You can understand this by this simple diagram. This is the cut section of the GIT. This one is the cut section of the GIT. And if we see these structure, this inner lumen will look like this. The inner lumen will look like this, right? These are folds and subfolds and all. So the lumen will look like this. So the inner area, if a liquid comes in this section, this will rotate around this. This will rotate around this and will not directly go straight forward, right? So this provides a sufficient surface for the digestion and the absorption, right? One more thing, one more thing, which we should discuss in the epithelium section, that this layer contains very crucial, very important kind of cells, right? Number one is the absorptive cells. Absorptive cells, right? So these absorptive cells, which are related, of course, related to the small intestine, synthesize some several kind of digestive enzymes, and these digestive enzymes are known as the brush border enzymes. These are known as the brush border enzymes. So these absorptive cells secrete brush border enzymes. Brush border enzyme, right? And it secretes these brush border enzymes within the wall of the plasma membrane of microvilli. So this will insert these enzymes into the plasma membrane of the microvilli. And here the microvilli, by these enzymes, will process the digestion, process the absorption of the contents of or of the nutrients. So there are a lot of enzymes related to the sorry, related to the absorptive cell, but the basic main enzymes are some carbohydrate digesting enzyme, some number one carbohydrate digesting enzymes, and carbohydrate digesting enzyme, the main carbohydrate digestive enzyme are the dextrinase, the maltase, the sucrase, the lactase. So these are the basic carbohydrate digesting enzyme. Dextrinase, sucrase, lactase. Let me write this here. Dextrinase, sucrase, maltase, and lactase. So what these enzymes do? They simplify the content or the molecule into some complex into the smaller or simple, or the dipeptide into the monopeptide, right? So these will, what they do, if we say the maltase will work on the maltose and will separate it out, one molecule of the maltose and one of the sorry, in the two molecule of the glucose. And like the sucrase, what sucrase do, it will divide the sucrose into one molecule of the glucose and one molecule of the fructose. So these are the basic carbohydrate digesting enzyme, right? There are protein digesting enzyme also. So which are the protein digesting enzyme? Protein digesting enzyme. So the protein digesting enzyme, or you can say
Peptidases.
the
Peptidases. Peptidases.
are there in the gastric secretion. Some nucleotide digesting enzyme also there. Nucleotide digesting enzyme. Okay. Some like
Nucleotidases and second phosphatidases.
so these are the basic phosphatases, nucleotidases, the peptidases, the lactose, the maltose, the sucrase, and the sorry, not lactose, it's lactase and maltase and sucrase. So these are the basic brush border enzymes which we can found in the wall of the microvilli, right? So these are the absorptive cell. One more important cell is there in the wall of the epithelium, and that is the, this one is the one, and the second one is the goblet cell. Second one is the goblet cell. And as you all know, what goblet cell secrete? Goblet cell. So goblet cell secrete mucus. Mucus. Right. So the mucus makes the wall, keep the wall lubricated. Third one is the important one is the Paneth cell. Paneth cell. And Paneth cell secrete lysozyme. Paneth cell secrete lysozyme. Right. And lysozyme is capable of phagocytosis. Right. So absorptive cell, goblet cell, and Paneth cell. One more important thing that there are some enteroendocrine cells also. Enteroendocrine cells, as we study in the stomach, that there are also some enteroendocrine cells, and these were the G cell, the D cell, the ECL cells. Okay, so enteroendocrine means the cell which secrete the hormone. These are counted as enteroendocrine cells. So there are also some enteroendocrine cells in the epithelium of the small intestine, and these cells, number one is the S cell. S cell, and S cell secrete secretin, and secretin goes through the blood to the cell of the pancreas, and specifically to the cell of the intercalated duct, and it stimulates that cell, and the intercalated cell of the intercalated duct secrete the bicarbs in the pancreatic juice. And second one, the most important, is the CCK cell. So CCK cell secrete cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. And cholecystokinin acts on the acinar cell, and it stimulates the acinar cell, and acinar cell secretes the enzymes of the pancreatic juice. Right. There are a lot of work of the C cell and CCK cell. We will discuss them later. And the third one, the important one, is the K cell. And K cell secrete GIP. We will discuss it later. But K cell secrete glucose dependent insulinotropic peptide. Right. So glucose dependent insulinotropic peptide is released by the K cell. So there are four types of cell. One is the absorptive cell, which is situated in the epithelium of the small intestine. One is the absorptive cell, and absorptive cell secrete brush border enzymes. There are a lot of enzymes. Main carbohydrate digesting enzymes are the dextrinase, the sucrase, the maltase, the lactase, and the protein digesting enzyme are the peptidases. Right. Some nucleotide digesting enzyme also are there, nucleotidases, and the phosphatidases. Right. So these these are the basic brush border enzymes. One more cells found there. These are the goblet cells, and goblet cell secretes mucus. Right. Third one is the Paneth cell, which secretes the lysozyme, which is capable of the phagocytosis and protect the lumen from the microbes. And fourth group is the enteroendocrine cells, and three type of basic enteroendocrine cells we can found on the wall of the small intestine. One is the S cell, second one is the CCK cell, and third one is the K cell. S cell secretes the secretin, C cell secretes the cholecystokinin, and K cell secretes the GIP, and that is glucose dependent insulinotropic peptide. Right. So these are the basic cell. Okay. One more important thing, when we talk about the wall of the small intestine, the second layer, that is the lamina propria. We were talking about the epithelium, the lamina propria. And lamina propria is actually supplies these all muscles through its arteries, through its, or there will be, of course, there will be arteriole and the venule. So the structure of, we should draw a structure again of this portion. It will look like this. Okay, right. So this is a microvilli and layer of epithelium, and this one, these are the, there goes an arteriole. You can see one venule coming down. This is venule, and capillaries between them, capillaries between them. These capillaries or blood capillaries, these are the blood capillaries. These are the blood capillaries, blood capillaries, right? And one more important structure going through this, and this is, and this structure is lacteal. This is the lacteal. Lacteal means here the contents absorbed by the microvilli or microvillus. This will, this is actually, this lacteal is a lymph duct or lymph vessel. So this will run between these, all these structure, and this structure, this inner structure is the structure of lamina propria. This inner structure is of the lamina propria, and the muscle layer which is below to this, the muscle fiber which are below to this, and this fiber which contains the main artery, small branch of artery and small branch of main or branch of lymph. This is related to the muscularis mucosa. This is related to the muscularis mucosa, right? So there are three basic structure which we can found in the layer of the mucosa. One, the circular folds, and along with the circular folds there is epithelium, the outermost layer which is in direct contact with the content. Below to this there is lamina propria, and lamina propria where the structure like arteriole, venule or lacteal or the capillaries run, and below to this the main structure where all the arteries related to the arterioles and venules, these run. This is the muscularis mucosa. So these are the basic structure of these. One more important thing, that the lamina propria contains areolar connective tissue. This layer contains areolar connective tissue. Areolar connecting tissue, and a special structure called as MALT. MALT means mucosa associated lymphatic tissue. Mucosa associated lymphatic tissue. And this particular layer contains a group of lymphatic nodules, and this group of lymphatic nodules is known as the Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches. This group of lymphatic nodules situated in the lamina propria, these nodules are known as the Peyer's patches. These have very significant role in the immune system, and these Peyer's patches are found in the distal part of the ileum. So ileum is the last part of small intestine. So where the pair spaces are abundantly, we can see the pair spaces. The pair spaces can be seen in the distal part of the ileum, right? So this was the basic structure. One more thing we should know, and that there are deep crevices. There are deep crevices in the wall of the epithelium, and these deep crevices, which are in the epithelium, is lined by the glandular cells. These crevices are lined by the glandular epithelium. And these crevices are also known as the crypts of Lieberkühn. This is a special structure, crypts of crypts of Lieberkühn. So these crypts of Lieberkühn are the basic structure of, or the identical structure of the small intestine. So there are crypts of Lieberkühn, there are pair spaces, and pair spaces are in the distal part of the ileum. So this was the main basic structure of the small intestine, or you can say the basic structure of the wall of the small intestine. And we will come in the next class with the physiological part of this. Thank you very much.